Yo, what's going on everybody? Swagkage here, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about how Kakashi managed to manifest a perfect Susano'o, because I know this has been bugging a lot of people ever since the chapter where he did it came out. For obvious reasons, it's very difficult to wrap one's head around the idea that a Kakashi who had lost both of his Mangekyo Sharingan with no Susano'o experience whatsoever was suddenly and without warning capable of manifesting the final stage of the Susano'o, all while under the enormous pressure presented by the fact that he was fighting Kaguya Otsutsuki. For the longest time, even I had no idea how on earth this managed to happen. But there's actually plenty of stuff present in the series that justifies Kakashi's ability to do this, and I'm going to be going over all of that in this video. The first and typically largest problem many people have with this is the fact that Obito had to use Kamui to travel from the afterlife to the living world and somehow enter Kakashi's body so that his soul could give Kakashi's soul access to his Mangekyo Sharingan for a limited amount of time. Now, understandably, at first glance, it takes a whole lot of suspension of disbelief to just accept that this happened, but considering some of the stuff that's happened previously in the series, it's actually not that far-fetched. Now, I'm gonna come back to this later, but before I proceed, just keep in mind that Obito's eyes were enhanced by Six Paths Chakra at the time that he did this, as Kakashi mentions later that Six Paths Chakra does enhance one's ocular capabilities. So, knowing that, it might not be too much of a stretch to say that Obito's Six Paths enhanced eyes are capable of, to some degree, establishing a link between the world of the living and the world of the dead. It's also worth keeping in mind that when Obito did this, he wasn't in the Pure Land, but he's instead in Naruto's equivalent of Purgatory. This is made very apparent by his conversation with Rin, where both of them make notes about the fact that neither of them are ready to pass on to the afterlife yet. And I'd imagine since Purgatory is somewhere between the Pure Land and the living world, it's probably quite a bit easier for him to establish a connection to the living world since he hasn't fully passed on yet, and he's quite a bit closer to it than he otherwise would be. Furthermore, it's not really out of the ordinary for a Naruto character to have some sort of dominion over the souls present in the afterlife. I mean, after all, Nagato managed to use his Rinnegan to transport the souls of all of the people he'd killed back to the living world, including the soul of Kakashi, which was, at the time of his revival, still lurking around in Purgatory because, for whatever reason, likely due to the many regrets he had, at that point he wasn't capable of passing into the afterlife quite just yet. Now, bearing all of this in mind, the Rinnegan is, at least in basic terms, just a Six Paths enhanced Sharingan, so the fact that it's capable of doing something similar to what Obito did, it does add validity to Kamui's ability to create a connection between these two planes. And of course, setting Nagato's ability to revive the dead aside, Orochimaru, Kabuto, and Tobirama are all capable of summoning dead souls through Edo Tensei. Not to mention, Kaguya's Rene Sharingan is capable of creating portals to other dimensions, and the Sage of Six Paths did exactly what Obito did to Kakashi, but instead to Naruto and Sasuke. So the series had already set a precedent for this sort of thing happening. It's not something that only Obito has accomplished. Granted, I'm not entirely sure how he transported himself into Kakashi's body. Seriously, that part was like really weird. But anyway, I don't know if he was actually interacting with Kakashi on a spiritual level or if he just projected himself into Kakashi's mind, but whatever it was, like I said, it was similar to what the Sage of Six Paths did when he gave Naruto and Sasuke each half of his power. And if it is just a simple mental projection, Sasuke was capable of doing the same thing at the beginning of Shippuden. He used his Sharingan to project an astral form of himself into Naruto's mind in order to suppress the Nine Tails. Then, of course, Minato and Kushina did similar things by leaving fragments of their chakra sealed inside of Naruto's body, so that at some point they would be able to project a part of their soul into Naruto's mind where they would be able to have a conversation with him and to give him assistance at specific times of need. Now, regardless of how Obito managed to do it, the link he established with the world of the living is without a doubt tied to the same roots that some, if not all of the abilities I've just mentioned are. The most logical hypothesis for what exactly happened is using his Six Paths enhanced Sharingan, Obito established a connection between Purgatory and the mortal plane and used Kamui to transport himself there before projecting an astral image of his soul into Kakashi's mind by using either a fragment of his leftover chakra, the same way Minato and Kushina did, or by using his Sharingan the same way Sasuke did to suppress the Nine Tails, where he was able to temporarily give Kakashi the gift of both of his Mangekyo Sharingan. So now that I've at least sort of established how Kakashi came into possession of Obito's eyes, let's move on to how on earth he managed to use the perfect Susano'o with a pair of base Mangekyo Sharingan. Well, like I mentioned earlier, Obito's eyes had been enhanced with Six Paths Chakra, and this isn't something that Kishimoto came up with out of thin air. Granted, it is stretching things a little bit, but Obito likely still had residual chakra of the Jubi present in his body thanks to his time as its Jinchuriki. Not to mention, it wasn't too long before this happened that he absorbed some of Jubi Jinchuriki Madara's chakra, along with the chakra of some of the tailed beasts as as well. And again, Kakashi clearly states that Six Paths chakra enhances one's ocular powers, and once more, this isn't something that Kishimoto just came up with on the spot. Evidence of this can be seen all throughout the series. Combining the chakra of Indra and Ashura to form the chakra of the Sage of Six Paths produces the Rinnegan, which is a clear example of the same thing happening. Then of course, when Sasuke received some of Hagoromo's chakra, his Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan evolved into a Rinnegan, and prior to receiving this chakra, he wasn't capable of using a perfect Susanoo. After his meeting with Hagoromo, however, Sasuke could use it with no difficulty, as if it was an ability he'd had for his entire life, despite the fact that unless he was paying close attention to Madara's battle with Hashirama in the background, he shouldn't have even seen what the perfect Susanoo looked like before then. So for Kakashi, a combat genius, gifted with 2 Mangekyo Sharingan, one he's been used to using for years, along with the additional blessing of the chakra of the Sage of Six Paths to manifest a perfect Susanoo after seeing Sasuke use it up close and so frequently nonetheless. Yeah, I guess it makes a lot more sense than I initially gave it credit for. Anyway, that's about all for this video. I'm pretty sure I've done a decent job explaining the subject, though if you do have any questions about it, leave them in the comments below and I'll make sure to answer any that I see. As always, thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video while you're here, maybe consider subscribing and leaving a like. And if you have any ideas for future video topics you want me to cover, leave them in the comments below. But above all else, have a fantastic rest of the day, and until my next video, I'll talk to you later. Swagkage out. Bye.